heavy,
bored.
This is something I think that isn't mentioned, or it just isn't talked about as honestly in some of the more recent stuff, where there is this level that I think this book captures of that when a man is in love with a woman, there are things that like he would be willing to do in terms of like somebody like Gatsby. Is he willing to like literally commit crimes and lie about everything just to have a chance at what he has been chasing for the last 5 years since this girl he met well before he was shipped off in the army kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
And there's something, it's like a romantic tragedy, I think, to that, like this idea of, yes, a lot of men are willing to do this to get the person that they love or think they love in the case of this.
Yeah.
But even so, I mean, we doubt that he actually loved her. I think he was naive about his chances, considering she was already married to somebody who was actually wealthy and powerful and stuff.
I think when we learn what his motivation in
her?
chasing her
Was for her to love him.
was. Like, I mean, I think when we learn his sort of backstory with her, how they met, how he actually began to pursue her, why she appealed to him, and it wasn't just that she was beautiful, it was that there was something magical about this sort of world that she lived in, that she was particularly wanted by other men, things that essentially increased her value. So really early on, it was just like you're something valuable that I feel I can't have, and that intrigues me. And then they become tied up in this like brief romance before he goes to the war.
And that's why I kept getting this idea of the love story, with this idea of the romantic love story, where it's everything he did to just have a chance at Daisy. Literally spent years staring at the end of her dock, you know, would host these parties that he couldn't afford just for the chance of her to show up, because he didn't want to just show up to the house, right? Just like with the Kerouac, he had this kind of, he didn't want to be rude, he didn't want to be forcing himself in there, but at the same time he did, right? Because everybody wants what they want to some extent, and then it's...
Right, well, and he wants to acquire her, right? Like she is, I mean, like I feel obnoxious saying this because I feel like I could just like be, you know... in like my college class talking about why this book is anti-women, or like I don't know,
right? Yeah.
And that's not what I'm trying to say. But like I do think he is painted that way, and I think he is painted that way intentionally as like someone who thinks that he, you know, loves her, but actually he is just reaching toward this idea of a person that, if he could have, would somehow increase the value of his world in some way.
But not only that, I would argue, I guess, to push against it is that he doesn't care about the things that he accumulated, really, because he did it all to get her. What he cares about is getting a chance with Daisy, so he's willing to abandon all of that.
Sure, right. When she comes over and finally sees his stuff, he's like, you know, I don't remember the exact quote, but he's like revaluing everything in his house in relation to her interest in it.
Exactly. He only cares about getting her.
And then there's that moment where she's like crying over the shirts.
That's right? Let's talk about that moment.
Inner resources, American resources.
Being bored?
You know, some activities are intentional, right?
It shows such a lack of gratitude for life. Bored. I aspire to boredom, I should say.
Bored.
heavy,
I am heavy.
Bored.
Has you the night sweats and the day sweats, pal? Pal, I do.